It's me, Alex, the stay-at-home reader. Just thought I'd pop on, do a little what have I been reading chat. I'm about halfway through like 3 different books at least. I just finished another one. So let's discuss. First of all, halfway through my year of rest and relaxation. If you follow me on Instagram, I posted a currently reading picture and just kind of talked about how like this book has taken me a long time to read. And that's not because I'm not enjoying it or it's nothing negative about the book. I just had a coughing fit. Sorry. But it's not that I'm not enjoying this. And that's why I'm reading it slowly. It's kind of because I'm enjoying it too much. And that's a little scary. Like, not that the book is scary, but the book is dark in that the character, I don't think she even has a name. Like, first, I'm bad at like registering characters' names in any book. So a lot of times when there's like an unnamed protagonist, I don't realize it until I'm trying to talk about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know. So I think this is an unnamed protagonist. Like this far in, you think I know that for sure. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, she says things like, oh, he surprisingly knew my name somehow. Or like this had my name on it. So, but I don't think we ever hear what her name is. Anyway, she's in a dark place. I'm not in this bad a shape, but my moods have definitely been roller coastering over the past couple weeks. So this character does a lot of like waking up at 2 a.m. and chugging coffees and then taking Xanax or Ambien to go back to sleep. So she's on this constant mix of like caffeine and downers. And that's like her entire diet, I swear. So I hit a point this weekend where I was very anxious and hadn't slept. My younger son was injured in a baseball game. He broke his thumb. And so the first night after the injury, I slept on the couch with him because I could prop him up on the back of the couch so he could keep his thumb elevated. And then the second night, I set him up in his bed, but I was just still so strung out that I slept on the couch and, in case he needs me, whatever. So I hadn't slept. Sunday morning, my other son had early baseball games, and I was just, the bags under my eyes were offensive. So I'm sitting there on the couch like, do I need coffee or do I need Ativan? Which one's it going to be? Because it probably shouldn't be both, right? And that's when I realized I was a little too close to this one here. And so I put it down. I put it down again. Like I said, I had already been going slow with it. But I decided to, put it aside. So what I picked up instead was actually an audiobook. I went onto my Hoopla digital app, and with my library, I'm able to borrow and download 6 books a month. It is currently the last week of April, and I hadn't listened to any audiobooks. There's ebooks and comics, whatever, also available. But I hadn't used any of my 6 borrows in April, so I just went through my favorite list and picked 6 books. So I'll include the screen grab here of what books I ended up borrowing. And already like half of them I don't care about. That was Monday. This is Wednesday. I've already lost interest in a couple of them. I don't know. So the one I started was When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. Hooked. Immediately. Loved it. So like I said, started that Monday. Monday evening, I was at the library returning some books, picking up a hold, as I do multiple times a week. And I had to run in and grab the actual physical copy to read along. I ended up reading the end of it on my own without the audio. So good. So good. I feel like I have seen mixed reviews for this book. And I think the reason is because it is sold as a thriller by a romance author. Alyssa Cole is known for her romance books. This was her first kind of step outside into a different genre. And I would say this is more of a psychological thriller bordering on being a horror. I prefer horror to thriller. And so I think that's why this really worked for me. Like the tone, the setting, the mood, the atmosphere was just so heavy and ominous. So I feel like a lot of people who are like meh about the book is because going into a thriller you expect a faster pace, I think. And so I saw a lot of complaints about the pacing in this book. This is a Black author writing a Black perspective. Her main character is a young Black woman, Brooklyn native, born and raised, lived her entire life in this brownstone. And then the plot is her uncovering the sinister plot and scheme behind the gentrification of her neighborhood. And the second POV character that we get that she is kind of piecing stuff together with is her new neighbor, who is a white man who purchased a brownstone directly across the street from her with his wealthy white girlfriend. So they are the gentrifiers. He's different though, because he grew up with a single mother, poor, exposed to domestic abuse. Like he has a background that, you know, kind of sets him apart from this wealthy girlfriend who was slumming it with him to begin with. So from the beginning, their relationship is over and he's able to get close to Sydney, the main character. I loved this. I feel like it said a lot in an entertaining way, in that like it was a book, like a page turner, even not being the fastest paced book, is I still could not put it down. I flew through it. But when you step back, you can apply a lot of the messages and identify a lot of microaggressions, a lot of not so subtle and yet trying to be subtle racism. I liked Theo's character. I didn't mind him. Again, this my opinion. You know, I'm not Black, but one person I heard talking about this book brought up Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed, and I was kind of thinking of that book because I was afraid Theo as a romantic interest, again, like this isn't a romance, but she writes romance, so there was a little bit of sexual tension between the characters. I mean, not just tension. There is a scene, and you can tell what genre she's used to writing in. But anyway, in Such a Fun Age, I forget the character's name in that, but there is a white boyfriend who you can just tell he has like a black fetish in like a red flag kind of way. Funny, because when I brought that up in a book club discussion, people are like, oh no, I don't see it, he's just not racist. I'm like, no, 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 no. There's an extreme, and he's towing a line here, like, he is also harmful. Anyway, I didn't get that from Theo in this book, but again, that's me. Someone else may. I really enjoyed this. I really, really liked this one. The audiobook was great. Reading it was great. There are social media posts that the audiobook does a fine job just kind of reading like a person's name and their post, person's name, and then like, you know, 2 more replies, see more. But reading it physically, you can see it clearer that's the setup, is that they're social media posts, that it's a chat room, so you have the chat name, discussion, and then just like people responding to it. And I cannot stand, I've had to leave town like Facebook groups because like, do people hear the things they say? Do they know they're being racist? Do they know they're being classist? I have to walk away from social media often. Like YouTube and Instagram, those are my happy places online. What else? This book talks a lot about like taking homes from people who are established in a community, and it goes back and talks about land being stripped away from Native Americans. It talks about the history of like, yeah, maybe the North wasn't known for being slave states, but the North was for bankers, and what did bankers invest in? How did they make their money? It talks a lot about the history of land ownership and denying ownership for certain people. It talks about redlining, like all in this horror adjacent type story. So well done. Recommend. My battery on my phone is just about dead, so we had to switch up the angle here. I'm now sitting on my bed with my phone plugged in. The other books that I am halfway through are Young Mungo by Douglas Stewart and The Boy with the Bird in His Chest by Emmeline. I don't remember the author's name. I will obviously have already had a picture of the book with the author on it. Okay, Young Mungo. Beautiful writing. I think we've all learned from Shuggie Bain. Douglas Stewart, excellent. I am finding this one easier to read than Shuggie Bain, as far as like the being set in Scotland, and he uses the Scots English. I'm not having as hard a time. I feel like he's using less of it, or maybe I'm just reading it better. I don't know. But it's very similar to Shuggie Bain. Very much the same kind of setup, framework of the characters. slightly different situations. Mungo is a different age than Shugi was, so that's a little different. Mungo is 15, and he doesn't feel 15. He feels very, very childish to me. But maybe that's 15. I don't know. I haven't been 15 for a while. Long time. And my kids are not yet 15. He just feels really young. Young Mungo, which I get it. So maybe that was intentional. But similar to Shugi Bane, he is a young queer boy with an alcoholic mother. In this one, the mother is more detached from her children than Agnes was. Like, Agnes was present. She was drunk out of her mind and making horrible decisions, but she was there. In young Mungo, his mother, Moma, her name is Maureen, and she hates being called Mom because she's too young. So they call her Moma, which just sounds so old. Like, I thought it was a grandmother character when she was first introduced, but like, no, that's his mother. She's checked out. Mungo has an older sister. Maureen is fine with her raising him. She's like, listen, I was a mom at your age. Like, you can do this. I did it. You do it. You take care of him. I have a boyfriend who can't know that I'm a mess. So at least Agnes cared through her illness. Maureen is much more selfish. But yeah, I'm like halfway through the book and I feel like it's just getting started. And I don't know if it's just because I'm not reading a lot at any one time. I'm reading it very slowly on my phone. I hate reading digital books, ebooks on my phone. We want to talk about poor pacing. Young Mungo, poor pacing. Beautiful writing, dynamic characters, full characters. Like, I feel like I'm in there with him, but that I've seen it before. But the book is still good. And then the boy with the bird in his chest, I'm listening to. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. I got halfway through really fast and then, yeah, for whatever reason, stopped listening. It's not a DNF. It's just, I think, me not being in a state for emotional books. And this is a pretty emotional book. So, the main character, Owen, literally has a bird in his chest. He was born and misdiagnosed with a heart murmur. But it turns out he just had a hole in his chest and a baby bird showed up one day. I think when he was 5 days old. And the bird's name is Gail, and she is sassy, she's funny, she's sometimes a little moody, and he loves her, and his mother loves her, but they have to keep her hidden. People can't know that he has this bird in his chest, and so the mother hides him away to the point where, like, she doesn't treat his asthma until it's like a critical situation where, like, he almost dies. And I think there's a magical realism to the story, and it's all a metaphor for queer identity, trans identity. So yeah, I'm only halfway through that one, and maybe that should be what I get back into. Yeah, because I'm not sure what exactly I want to read right now. I have book club tonight. We're going to be discussing Clara and the Sun. I posted a review for that on Instagram. really liked that book too. So that's what I've been up to. What have you been reading? Have you read When No One Is Watching? It's so the pitch is that it is Rear Window meets Get Out. I have not seen Get Out, and I feel like this is any Black speculative book lately is compared to Get Out. This is the one where I feel like, hey, that might be appropriate. I can see. So I kind of am interested in watching that movie now. But Rear Window? I don't think so. I don't get the Rear Window reference. But have you read When No One Is Watching? What did you think about it? Okay, bye.